Welcome to the 2030 webinar series. This is the 15th installment, Forms 101. The agenda for today consists of going over what the session is about. We'll also go over general information on forms in BearBuy. We'll also go over available BearBuy resources and support. And then lastly, questions and answers. This session is intended for all users. It's only 30 minutes long, with the first 15 minutes going over forms, and the last 15 minutes solely dedicated to going over questions and answers. Now let's get started. So why do we use forms in BearBuy? We use forms to order goods and services not found in the hosted or punch-out catalogs. Forms also facilitate certain approval workflow or the flow of required documents. Forms are used to designate the type of purchase order liquidation, either by amount or quantity. In other words, what does the purchase order match by? Is it by quantity or amount? Are you ordering services or goods? One thing to note is that the after the fact and the payment request form are the only two forms that auto-flip vouchers when the POs are created. Let's talk about amount versus quantity-based forms a little bit more. You can add multiple vendors in a cart, as long as the form you are using for each vendor all are the same type, either by amount or quantity. Please note that catalog purchases can only be combined with other catalog purchases. BearBuy does not allow mixing form purchases with catalog purchases. So the chart here lists out all the forms in BearBuy. It also states if the form liquidizes by amount or quantity, as well as if it can be mixed with any other related amount forms and/or quantity forms. Another thing about forms is that there are forms designed specific to suppliers. There are 5 supplier-specific forms. They are the Claremont Off-Campus Event Form, the Moving Services Form, the Subaward UC Recipient Form, the Temporary Staffing Request Form, and the Vehicle Charter Request Form. These forms are designed to have a specific supplier listed on it, or a drop-down list of available suppliers to be used on the form. These 5 forms are driven either by the nature of business with the supplier, for instance, the Claremont Off-Campus Event Form, or are strategically sourced suppliers for the type of expenditure needed, for instance, moving services, temporary staffing, and so on. If a department needs to purchase services listed above from a supplier not listed on any of those forms, a transaction-based form can be used instead. What this means is that, for instance, let's say I have to hire a moving services company. If my desired supplier is not listed on this form, that doesn't mean I can't use that supplier for these moving services expenses. Instead, I'll have to use a different form to purchase these services. The remaining forms are what we consider transaction-based forms. There are 9 transaction-based forms. They are the after-the-fact PO form, the amount-only form, the independent contractor and consultant services form, the non-catalog form, the off-campus event form, the payment request form, the service order request form, the sole source over $100,000 form, and the subaward non-UC recipient form. Any supplier in BearBuy can be used on any of these forms. These forms are designed by type of transaction. Some forms are designed to follow specific approval workflows. For instance, the off-campus event form will route to risk services for them to review and approve the attached off-campus event contract. This is why it's important to use the correct form, because the forms will route to the correct department for specific approvals. Now what we're going to do is demonstrate how to navigate to the forms in BearBuy. When you first log into BearBuy, the system will automatically take you to the BearBuy Home Shop page. Let's first navigate to where a set list of forms are listed. Scroll down until you locate the Frequently Used Forms category. There are only 6 forms listed within the Frequently Used Forms category. These are the forms that are heavily used on campus across all departments. But what if you need to locate other forms not listed here? Let's go ahead and scroll back to the top. To navigate to a list of all forms in BearBuy, simply select the Forms link underneath the Shop search bar. You'll then see all the BearBuy forms listed in front of you within the Organization Forms folder. You can use any of these forms by simply clicking on the name. Clicking on the name of the form opens up the form, and at that point you can complete the form, add it to your cart, and then continue through the shopping process. That concludes the presentation portion of this presentation. We're now going to review BearBuy resources and support. We have developed a lot of form-based job aids. All our job aids can be located at the URL listed in front of you: supplychain.berkeley.edu/instructional-resources-0. We also have our BearBuy YouTube channel. The URL address to our channel is youtube.com/user/BearBuy procurement. We also have the BearBuy Help Desk. The BearBuy Help Desk is the #1 place to stop for help. Their phone number, hours of operation, and email address is displayed in front of you. You can also follow us on Instagram. Our Instagram is just another source for receiving news about upcoming events and outreach opportunities. The URL address to our Instagram account is listed in front of you. Our Instagram account name is UCB_BearBuy. If you have any questions related to this webinar, please send them to bearbuyhelp@berkeley.edu. Thank you again, and thanks for watching.